बिस्मिल्लाहि मिनश्शैतानिर्रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी व यस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome back to my channel Young Brainies. My name is Rida Zara and the topic I chose for today's lesson is very interesting. Food chains and food webs. So before starting, I would like you to know the definition of a scientific terminology, ecosystem. What is an ecosystem? When abiotic and biotic factors of the environment interact together, they form a system called an ecosystem. Always remember that an ecosystem can be as small as a pond and as large as a desert, but usually larger ecosystems are called biomes. There are two main differences between ecosystems and biomes, and these differences are that in a biome, the temperature, climate, and weather doesn't vary at all, whereas in an ecosystem, the temperature, climate, and weather do vary, and in most of the cases, it varies. The second difference is that a biome is classified by the animals and plants that are living in it, whereas an ecosystem can include all types of living and non-living organisms. Now you can see that my board is divided into two parts, food chains and food webs. The food web might look a little bit complicated, but when we understand food chains thoroughly, it would be very easy for you to understand what a food web is. So first of all, let's discuss what a food chain is. A food chain is a diagram that actually shows the transfer of energy through one living organism to another. Now you can see I have drawn here four food chains. The first one contains 2 links, second one contains 3 links, the third one contains 4 links, and the fourth one contains 5 links. Now what are these links? These links are the organisms, and the arrows in the food chain are actually representing the transfer of energy through the organisms. So in the first food chain, we have 2 organisms, grass and the slug. Now, in a food chain, there are 5 levels called trophic levels, which actually show the position of each organism. The grass is the trophic level 1, also called the autotroph and producer. A producer is the organism that makes its food by itself using sunlight, and that is, of course, grass. Slug in the food chain is a primary consumer because it's feeding on the producer. The primary consumer is never a carnivore. It is always a herbivore and an omnivore. The slug is the second trophic level, also called the heterotroph. It is called the heterotroph because it is dependent on the grass for energy. Let's move on to the second food chain, in which I have added another organism, which is the bird. The bird in this food chain is also a heterotroph called a secondary consumer, and it is usually omnivore or a carnivore. It cannot be a herbivore because herbivores are the animals that only feed on plants. Now, the bird is dependent for energy on the slug, which was usually originated from the grass. In the third food chain, the snake is the tertiary consumer, means that it is feeding on the secondary consumer. It is also a heterotroph, and it is mostly a carnivore. It can, in very small cases, it is an omnivore, but usually it's a carnivore. In the last food chain, we have owl. Now, the owl is a apex predator. An apex predator is an animal which is not eaten by anyone else. That doesn't mean that it doesn't die. When the owl dies, it is decomposed by the bacteria and fungi in the soil, also called decomposers. Now, decomposers play a very vital role in maintaining the balance of the ecosystem because they take the energy from the dead organisms and transfer it to the soil from which a new plant grows. Let's talk about food webs. What are food webs? Well, you might have guessed a lot about them only by reading their names. Food webs are a lot of food chains interconnecting, a tangle of food chains. And I have made a marine biome food web. A food web doesn't have only one producer, one primary consumer, one secondary consumer. It has loads of them. And in this food web, I have one producer, the algae, and two apex predators, the killer whale and the leopard seal. A food web is very delicate. Even the removal of a small creature, the fish, will affect the whole food web. The animals which are eating the fish, like the Adelie penguin, crab-eater seal, emperor penguin, and the humpback whale, their population will decrease because it's a fun fact that the prey is always more than the predator. Whereas when the fish dies, the krill's population will also increase. And you can see that the squid is also feeding on the krill. So when the krill will increase, the squid will have more krill to eat. And the predators, which are now dependent on the squid because of the removal of the fish, will also be affected. End our video with today's lesson summary. We have learned the difference between a biome and ecosystem. We have learned the definition of a food chain and a food web. We have learned the different trophic levels, and we have learned that the prey is always more than the predator. That's all for today, everyone. If you like my video, then please subscribe to my channel, Young Brainiacs. Thank you, everyone, for watching.